Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing, well, can Thailand rely on short-term tourists? The reason I got to thinking of making this video, I was reading a recent article in the Pattaya Mail, that's pattayamail.com. Article is titled, Thailand's 10-year golden visa outshone by Philippine alternative. And I urge those who are watching this video, a lot going on in this article. Check it out for yourself. I'm going to quote a small excerpt here. Quoting directly, the Board of Investment has offered little comment to date, although Deputy Secretary General Narit Therdit Stiratsukdi says that Thailand can no longer rely on short-term tourists for much-needed income. Well, my first question is, what's a Board of Investment got to do with anything having to do with tourism policy? Board of Investment is a business encouragement vehicle. They're supposed to encourage investment to Thailand. Tourism is what it is. Now, I'm not saying, he may not necessarily be wrong, but I found this to be very odd that BOI has tried moving into the immigration space, and I don't really understand why. They don't really have a mandate to do that. Why don't, for lack of a better term, stay in your lane and worry about investment here? That being said, I don't necessarily agree with this. I think short-term tourism could come back, very much so. Now, I think we're going to go through a few years here where the world's going to be in kind of a weird situation, both geopolitically and economically. But, Thailand's been through weird situations geopolitically and economically before, and no one was sitting around going, oh, we should just give up on short-term tourists. No, why would we do that? Tourism accounted for 20% of the GDP prior to March of 2020. That's a staggering number. It's not what I find a lot of foreigners here in Thailand think it is. A lot of foreigners here in Thailand seem to think that tourism is like half of GDP or something, and I always thought that was way out of kilter for what was actually going on. But 20% of GDP is substantial. And meanwhile, look, there's indications to suggest that short-term tourism may be on the rise. 2.5 years of not being able to go much of anywhere and do much of anything is going to have an impact. Meanwhile, the dollar is quite strong against the baht, in fact, concerningly so in certain instances. So, I think there's room to argue that we could see substantial short-term tourism. Maybe the next year and a half, 2 years are not going to be the greatest setting the world on fire kind of numbers in terms of short-term tourists, but why would we throw it aside? And meanwhile, this whole notion that these long-term folks are just going to come in and fill the gap, I just don't see it. Now, I do think we should encourage it, and anybody that wants to come to Thailand, live long-term, invest, spend their money here, sure, but I just don't understand throwing out the baby with the bathwater here.